Well, election night is over, but election season is just beginning. With the 2025 races now complete, attention is shifting to major races coming into focus for next year. One of them is the race for Georgia's governor. Zach Merchant, co-anchor of the Georgia Vote, joining us now. Zach, you sat down with most of the candidates just a few hours ago. What are they saying?
Well, they're saying a whole lot, and we did. We spoke with 4 of the major contenders in the Democratic primary just a little bit after their appearances at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution's candidate forum tonight, and they had a lot to say, particularly about the results of last night's election. All 4 of them that we talked with, they said they were pleased with those results, seeing Democrats winning 2 statewide Public Service Commission races here in Georgia and also notching wins in major races in Virginia and New Jersey and in New York City. But this is a crowded Democratic gubernatorial primary field here in Georgia, and tonight we started to get one of our very first looks at some growing fault lines inside this primary race, with former state senator and now candidate for governor Jason Estevez saying this just a few hours ago.
We're going to have to focus on the issues, which means nominating a candidate like me that does not have the baggage that my primary opponents do.
What baggage are you referring to there?
Well, look, when I think about a former mayor who abandoned the city at a time of crisis.
You're talking about Keisha Lance Bottoms there.
And decided not to run for re-election.
How do you respond to that criticism from a fellow Democrat in this primary?
Yeah, that's really rich coming from someone who's quit twice in the middle of his term. So I didn't abandon the city of Atlanta. I completed my term, leaving the city with $180 million in the bank. Didn't raise property taxes. We created a child savings account for public school kindergartners across our city.
Former State Senator Estevez also criticized Jeff Duncan's past support for Georgia's so-called heartbeat bill, which bans most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. Duncan backed the bill when he served as the state's Republican lieutenant governor. Since switching parties and becoming a Democrat, he's changed his stance. He told us in a recent interview that he got the issue of abortion wrong, and he said if elected, he would support a return to the Roe v. Wade standard.
All right, Zach, a lot of questions voters are asking as well tonight. Thank you so much, Zach. The AJC has some new polling as well, though. I want to talk to you about this, about specifically the Democratic primary. What does it say about the candidates?
Well, this is important context here, too, because we see former state senator Jason Estevez starting to throw a couple jabs in this contest. The AJC's recent poll shows that he is trailing former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms substantially. Keisha Lance Bottoms leading the Democratic primary field at about 40% support of likely Democratic primary voters. In second place is Michael Thurman, former DeKalb County CEO. In fourth place in this poll, Jason Estevez at 3% support. Polls, of course, just a snapshot in time, but you can imagine that's ratcheting up maybe a little bit of pressure on some of these candidates. We're starting to see the early tests of some possible attack lines. Always a lot to track in Georgia politics, Jennifer.
Yeah, and quite a few people on both sides in this race. So we're going to have to see how this shakes out next year. Zach, thank you so much. Tomorrow night at 11, Zach is sitting down with Attorney General Chris Carr, who is running for governor as a Republican.